everyone, and welcome back to Wondering Wild. It's Wild Wednesday, and today we're going to learn all about the polar bear. Now, the polar bear has the scientific name Ursus maritimus, which means maritime bear. This is due to its kind of predisposition to live near the water and on the sea ice. Now, the native peoples of Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and Russia, where the polar bear is found, call it the Nanook. Now, the polar bear is found all around the Arctic Circle, so very close to the North Pole. So, here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that polar bears and penguins should never see each other? Strange, right? Because all the time we see them together in pictures. Well, here's the fun fact. Penguins actually live closer to the South Pole, though there are some in islands further away, and polar bears are all found near the North Pole. But maybe one day they'll meet each other halfway, right? Now, obviously, the polar bear is a carnivorous bear species, where the males are called boars and the females are called sows, just like pigs. Interesting, right? Now, this is actually the largest bear species alive today. Yes, even bigger than the grizzly bear. The only bear that even closely resembles the polar bear in size is the Kodiak bear, which is actually a subspecies of the brown bear, or the grizzly bear. They're the same thing. Now, though polar bears are almost always born on land, they spend almost all of their time in the water or on the sea ice. So sea ice is not technically land. It's water that freezes around land when it's the colder season. So this can break up, and during warmer seasons it shrinks. Now, because the polar bears rely so much on this area to hunt their preferred food, the seal, they're classified as marine mammals, along with whales and seals and walruses. Now, because the polar bear lives so close to the North Pole in a virtually uninhabited area where they rely on sea ice and snow, they occupy more of their original range than any other animal alive today. However, this area is shrinking. Now, the only real threat to a polar bear's habitat is the warming global temperatures. So over the years, the world has been getting gradually warmer. I'm sure you've heard this. Now, little changes don't make as big a deal as you would think, but when you live in some of the coldest parts of the world, these small temperature changes can actually have a large effect. So, with the warmer temperatures, even by a few degrees, this causes some of the sea ice to melt, so it shrinks the available habitat for the polar bear. And this could actually hurt them, and it's why they're classified as vulnerable by the IUCN. Now, they're classified as vulnerable because they use this sea ice to eat, to find their prey. And without it, they're at risk of losing their main food source. Now, is there really anything we can do about it? Not directly. We can't go make them more ice, but we can just be careful in the way we treat our planet, as we should always be. And the more careful we are, the more likely we're to see some of our animal friends for the rest of our lives. Now, as I said, polar bears are the largest bear species alive today. Males can weigh up to 1,500 pounds and be 9 feet in length. That's very large, in case you were wondering. Now, compared to other bear species, the polar bear has an elongated body and a longer head and snout. Now, this is to make them more hydrodynamic when they're swimming through the water. The polar bear also has several other adaptations that kind of help it to live in its cold environment. First off, they have very large paws, and this allows them to distribute their weight across these paws when they're walking across snow and thin ice. It also allows them to move more water when they're swimming. Now, their paw pads are actually very unique too. They have what's called papillae. Now, these are basically just bumps on the skin that allows for traction. Now, polar bears also have that thick fur coat that we know so well. This thick coat, along with a thick layer of fat, helps insulate them so well that they easily overheat if the temperatures get above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. They are also almost impossible to detect with an infrared camera. And in case you didn't know, polar bear fur is actually transparent. Now, polar bear males, the boars, have really long hair on their legs, and this hair continues to grow until they're 14 years of age. Now, this hair is purely ornamental, and it actually serves no real purpose except for in finding a mate. And it's basically used the same way as the mane is on a lion. Now, polar bears have an incredible sense of smell. They can smell a seal under the ice up to a mile away and under 3 feet of snow. And, contrary to popular belief, unlike grizzly bears, polar bears are not territorial and often will avoid a fight, choosing to flee rather than approach an attack. Now, this doesn't mean they're not dangerous and you should try to cuddle one. Actually, they're even more dangerous in some ways. So because polar bears live so far away from people, they don't associate humans as a threat at all. So this means when they see a human, you're just like any other animal out on the ice. Now, usually polar bears have 2 cubs, twins, and these bears can live to be up to 25 years old. I hope you enjoyed learning all about the polar bear today here on Wondering Wild. As always, my sources are found in the description box below, and if you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more videos. Check back in on Friday for another Forgotten Friday. And as always, stay wild and never stop wondering.